Get close so that you could film yourself.
Isn't it this Wednesday?
So that,
Hoshana is
wait,
this
it's got a
Wednesday, it's when we
pointed year.
celebrate that, it's pointing at all of us.
yes, is it?
Yes, we are all included.
I
Okay.
don't want to be included, I'm wearing makeup on.
Sorry. You're the included. And I specifically did not want to put any makeup on before I come here today because I wanted to be clean when I come and meet you. And there were a few things that I wanted to mention. You see this blue light? Some of the time it's blue. And the interesting thing is when I needed to have some fillings removed, they were breaking, one was breaking up or something. So I was exchanging them, like trying to detoxify and change them with white fillings. And the interesting thing is that the process, when they part of that white material, they put ultraviolet, really strong bluish light in the mouth, and I felt that it was really clarifying. It's sort of like that vision of burning, feeling like some stuff was burning off, and I was really enjoying that, and I went in a couple more times and enjoyed the light, the feeling that the stuff was burning off. I mean, it's not just taking the metal out of my mouth, it's also one of the times, or twice I think, I got the feeling of like the skin was all feeling new and fresh in my mouth. It was really amazing. And it was sort of like that burning bush that was basically clarifying light and burning off garbage, junk, whatever, emotional junk, whatever. But that image was really, so it was just it was relating both to the light and to the image of the burning bush. And also, it was this kind of and another thing I want to mention is about the holy days, that you're coming in at a time when we have Yom Kippur, when people are supposed to basically forgive others, but also really forgive themselves for a lot of things. You have to admit it, and you have to really repent for it, but then you should also forgive it. And that's an important thing to say, that you're also untying yourself from promises that you've made in the previous year and in the year to follow. And it's this is a time when fates are decided, but they're not, like some people say that they're not fully decided until the end of Sukkot, which is the time that we have now. So it's really amazing that you come here exactly at this time when people are supposed to forgive others and themselves. And it's a real, it was just interesting. Yeah. I was also really touched to hear that, you were saying that 85% of your female patients were molested. Yeah, and I remember.
And I have a very broad spectrum. That's not true. I don't have a broad spectrum. I rarely deal with Chinese or black.
They don't come to you.
Well, they don't come. They're only learning now that therapy, because it's kind of across the board. I mean, therapy is based on white America. It is. And so I've had very few black people, very few. I've had some, and I've had very few Asian. And that's just how it is. So, but I've dealt with, who's the rest? They're all European, essentially, Canadian European, or Native American. And they've all been molested. There's not probably one woman
I'm in
Native
shock
American that's
to
not
see
been
as I
molested.
get older.
Native
How many
Americans.
people
Native
I know,
American.
how many people,
So much
women I
anger
know,
there in that society.
who have, and men, by the way,
It
who
made no sense
I
to me. I
remember-
said this to a fellow who, a Native American, a very spiritual man, a very alcoholic, drugaholic, and he's telling me how he can never forgive the priests who sexually molested him. And
Whoa.
all of the young Indians were put into Anglican, Catholic, Jesuit schools. And so, and he told me stories that were horrendous. You know, a 13-year-old girl forced to stand naked in front of her whole class.
Oh my God.
Just endless stories. And he said, I can never forgive that. And then he's telling me about his neighbor, his fellow neighbor, who raped his friend's daughter. They're all friends. They're within 4 houses of each other. Your friend raped the girl 2 doors down from you, and you guys are all related in one way or another. And how can you accept that? And he had no answer for me. He could not answer it, and that is one of the great problems in that community, is that there is no forgiveness and that they cannot see the incredible damage that they are connecting to their sense of Mother Earth by raping. They are the metaphor. They are practicing what has happened to them in their own feminine nature that's been destroyed within the village.
Well,
It's a very, very sad story.
That's the victim that goes into the perpetrator.
Yes,
And it's
totally.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and we have this issue in the Middle East.
You have it everywhere.
Well,
okay?
let's
It's
say that it's
everywhere.
visceral here. It's
It
really
is.
visceral.
It's more visceral.
And the key, and I understand this because of my own personal experiences, is moving towards empowerment and finding a way to pull out of that stuck place of these first two into that place of empowerment. And my guess is that, what you're talking about with nonviolence communication is very much that. I know that SE also stops the cycle of the trauma where people get stuck in that so that it can move into that empowerment.
SC?
SE.
What's that?
That's somatic experience.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
But it doesn't matter. There's many, many ways of doing this.
Don't you need to recognize what was done in order to be able to forgive? I mean,
Yes, you do, and that is a very difficult thing today because we have two problems. Well, there are many more than 2 problems. We call them problems, but what I'm talking about is this. It became very popular a number of years ago in many therapy circles, with both women and men, to tell the patient that they were molested. Obviously you were molested. And she has no recollection of it at all. She goes home and the therapist tries to convince her that she has been molested by her father, goes home and tells her mom that, I somewhere, and you don't know that she's remembered this at all. This is a lot of therapist stuff that has happened. And this is very dangerous, and I have seen families destroyed by it where the father never molested her, but it is so convinced, and the mother then believes it because all her stuff about his shenanigans, and what man hasn't done shenanigans of some kind or other, were men. Men think from one place, they're gonoids. So you can't always blame men for being idiots. And it's
Until
not
they
an
raise above
excuse, it just happens to be a reality.
Until they raise above it somehow.
Until you raise above it and you see that
Sublimation.
you have to move beyond the biological impulse of your gonoids. Okay, and
Freud called it sublimation.
okay, so again, this key then is going back to the original time, if you can do it. Okay, this is the key. I have a
original
young lady
time.
who cannot remember. She cannot remember, and her father died, but she was possessed with the idea. I just saw her again the other day, and she came back to see me because about 3 months ago she came in and her father had died. Now she felt when her father died, no hope at all that he would ever acknowledge that he molested her. She's gone back in enough memory that she knows that he molested her. He hasn't seen it clearly, but she does know that her cousin molested her. She does know that.
So it was
The father came, yeah, it was the father. The father came in the astral. He died, he came in the astral because he was called. I called him, she called him, and the spirits brought him, the angels brought him. And we had this amazing therapy session with the father in the astral apologizing to her, telling her how he has suffered, how he is sorry for what he has done, how he is being punished for what he has done, how he is karmically, the implications in his life for what he has done. And she took this home. She has worked with this now because he had a demon in him. And that he acted out through this demon that was in him through his own karmic life. Okay? So we freed him of this demon.
And that could be also a reason why he might not remember it or something like that.
He
Possible that
remembered.
people-
No, he always remembered, but they always remember somewhere that you've done something. But I've had many situations where they deny to their children, no, I never did it. You know, because even in that moment of craziness, especially if they're drunk. Okay, if they're drunk and they molest their daughter, they don't remember it. Often they don't remember it, but they know they're bad. They know they're wrong. They often will punish the daughter for what they have done. They will exorcise the daughter out of the family for what they have done.
Whoa.
This is very common,
I've heard about
you
that.
see, because of their guilt.
There's lots
See,
of
but in this situation, he came, so she called me and said, I want to have another conversation with my dad. I feel it's really important, and I have to have it in the next day or so. Oh, my schedule is like this. So anyway, I fit her in at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I usually start at 9. I like my 8 o'clock time myself. Anyway, okay, 8 o'clock. And I said to her, I can't guarantee that your dad's going to come.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to come, but, you know, we'll call him. We'll do the best we can, but I can't guarantee you're coming to talk to him. I can't guarantee he's going to be here. Okay. So there was a special dispensation that came. First the angel came and said, we're working on it. Okay? And then after a while, the father did come. And it was a very beautiful experience for her to be able again to have the father talk to her. He's gone through a huge transformation since the demon was out of him. He has talked to her. He was talking to her. He was crying in the astral. He was saying, I'm so sorry. I see what I have done. I am being punished for what I have done, and he's being punished so that he can be clear
But it's not
to
like
free
hell.
himself.
It's not like
he's
going
not
to
in
hell.
a hell, but there are hells.
Ah.
There are hells. There are hells.
But
There are hells. There are
also-
karmic hells, and they are right. They're not only right here on Earth. If you just look at Africa and you look at this country and you look at other countries, obviously we're in a certain kind of hell. You look at Gaddafi sending his troops out to rape all the women. Okay, we're definitely in a hell. But there is another hell where people die. They're encapsulated in like an egg-shaped type of structure, and they are living in their own misery and suffering. And I know that exists because I've had them come to me where I've been asked to forgive them.
But it's not eternal damnation.
It is
Sure.
not eternal damnation. The only person who has eternal damnation is Lucifer. Lucifer has eternal damnation. He is in charge of the underworld forever. I am told this, and I believe it is true, that this is his job. He serves a purpose. He is here as a server of an enormous task called temptation, called teaching, called learning. And once we get past the scare and the fear and being possessed by it, we can finally raise to that next level of understanding, which is to be a daughter and son of God, to turn our face to that and turn our face away from the darker forces, away from temptation. Temptation is always there. To the greatest high beings still have temptation.
Whoa.
And then how do you deal with people like Mao Zedong and Stalin and
Hitler, the big one.
So let's look at this, okay? Because we're in this country very near.
And what about the phrase, not one soul is going to be lost, which I heard.
I don't believe that that's true. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have seen that is not true because there are situations, which I am very sorry about, but there are situations where the demonic force eats away at a soul, eats away over time until there is practically nothing left or nothing left of that soul. I have worked to redeem a spark, literally a spark that is left of a soul for the sake of saving that spark.
Yes.
Because that spark has a memory still. It's like encoded in some way. And it's not up to me. This is now up to God. This light, this spark goes back up into the cosmic light. Let me tell you something that that I found very extraordinary and very fascinating. Do you know the work of George Gurdjieff?
I saw the movie Meetings with Remarkable.
Okay, so in the Meetings, Remarkable Men, he talks about some of his travels. But he's written these other more private books that are not so easy to get. And I made a little task of trying to read some of these books because I love his work. It changed my life when I was very young. When I was training in Gestalt therapy, my therapist trainer said, I was 23, 4, and he gave me this book and said, I think you should read it. And it was Meetings with Remarkable Men. No, it wasn't. That was the movie and his book. It was called In Search of the Miraculous by Ouspensky.
Okay.
And it was the teachings of Gurdjieff. And it was a language, I said for the first time in my life, this is a people that I understand. Finally, I have a language. Finally, I have found my people. That's what I said. Finally, I found my people. All right. Gurdjieff goes on to talk about his trips to the mountains of not Afghanistan, but
Central Asia.
that area, okay? And he talks about the wise men, the high Sufis, and beyond the Sufis, right? And he talks about these people, and one of the things he talks about is this, and I think it's important to understand this. The earth has to be balanced. The cosmos has to be balanced. Balancing by life. When, and this is why Sai Baba, I see you have a picture of Sai Baba.
Yes.
Sai Baba says, I come to earth when earth falls in its moral quality of life. When it falls to a low level, I reappear on earth to raise the quality of the moral stature of people's lives. Okay. So, this is what Gurdjieff talks about. He says that these teachers say that when the quality and life of meditation, of holiness, of light, when people argue, fight, and kill, when the level of this drops down, when the level of which is happening in India, where people stop doing pujas and burning vegetables and fruit to pray to the spirits, when this happens, there is an imbalance in the light that is coming from our souls, from our meditations, from our beingness of being the true human beings. Instead of the animal humans, we become human beings. And when that happens, we need to have war, tsunamis, because we need to have a lot of death happening. Because a lot of death is a lot of souls go up. And when those souls go up, they balance out this light, dark energy of food that feeds the cosmic light.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's kind of a hard thing to think about. It's nearly a punishing thought to think about that when we say, how could God allow this?
No, that's not my opinion. I know we bring it on.
We bring it on, and we bring it on, but it's brought on in a cosmic way because we know this kind of statistic, that when there are many, many, many more boys born in the world, we are edging towards a war.
Yes.
It's one of those strange phenomena that we call it phenomena, but it's actually one of the laws of the universe, that there are laws in this universe that we don't understand. They are bigger than us.
It's usually about, it happens 15 to 20 years before Big War.
There is a need for a balancing.
But
So how does that balancing happen? It happens through these various ways. There are lots of ways for it to happen, and it's happening today.
But
We're in
so
the middle
many
of it.
say that the Earth is graduating now to the fifth dimension, and children coming in now are higher level children, indigo, gold, crystal, and isn't that the case as far as you see?
I do see that as the case, and I see that, and I could say that it sometimes breaks my heart. I could cry right now, actually, when I see the damage and the lack of awareness that we are doing to these new children. They are committing suicide. They cannot take the pain and suffering that they are going through because they are not recognized. They are being treated as if they are some kind of old school kid out of the German pedagogy. And we are no longer there. I've said
quite a few times in the last couple of years that if I was 10 or 15 years younger, I would open a school in Canada for these kind of children. And I would teach healing, and I would teach travel. I would teach them all kinds of things that they're not taught today. They teach that
Do you
in
mean
China.
soul travel?
I mean all kinds of travel. And that's why I mentioned the work of Robert Fritz. Because the work of Robert Fritz is that he talks about how to co-create with God, holding a vision. And we can co-create by actually the dynamic vision of looking at reality today as if we're holding a rubber band in tension and being able to hold a vision. Gurdjieff talks about it in music. Music is vibration. You have an octave. There's a law of octaves. In the law of octaves, you have do, re, mi. Okay? Now, most people never get beyond do, re, or they get to me because they want a new furniture, and they go to the place, oh, no, I can't, oh, no, it costs $5 more than I have, and they go back to do. Okay? They never get to the finish of the octave. So to get to do, re, mi, fa, takes a huge amount of energy to go from mi to fa. Fa is energy. It is effort. If we don't put the effort in, we don't get to so. And so this is the law of octaves.
So is soul level?
So is just another level in the level of octaves. And as we progress up the level of octaves, we get into getting close to that penultimate place where we have to go somewhere because it's only a half step in our method of music. And so that octave, to get to that octave means you now start on the second level of your life. But most people never get beyond do, re, mi. They never have that opportunity to go to that second level.
But nevertheless, the earth is going to graduate to the fifth dimension.
The earth is graduating, and that, as you say, that's why we're in the complexes of the archetypal images of the past, creating new archetypal images that we have today, moving into a prescribed future.
That's probably my husband, because I turned my
I could do it, but I forget that I can do it, truthfully. I forget that I could actually fix her neck. I forget it. Here's a fun story, then we'll go, okay?
I record this.
I'm okay. I'm okay. It's your brother and my husband.
They're having a good time.
They're having a wine. Does he drink wine? If he drinks wine, they're having a wine.
Good. So there was a healer named Hannah, what's Hannah's last name? Hannah, can't think of her last name. She was in Boulder, Colorado. Okay, and so I went to see Hannah, and Hannah's a psychic, healer, and an herbalist, a famous, very famous herbalist. And so Hannah is doing my reading, and she gets this phone call. And so in the middle of giving me this reading, she answers the phone, and she says to the person, oh, yeah, just wait a minute. She changes her phone, and she picks up a wooden hammer, right? And on her desk, she has a picture of a skeleton. And she takes the hammer up to their neck, and she goes, whomp! And then she goes down a little bit. I think it was her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or the sixth thoracic. And she goes, whomp, with her hammer. She says, there, do you feel better now? I said, oh, God, I feel so much better. My pain in my head has stopped, and my neck feels really loose. Okay. So what that did for me, and this is why I love these people, and a story I didn't tell before, is this.
You can tell right now.
When I was 15, my sister had a fellow who was in love with her. She didn't love him, but he was a cellist, and she was a cellist. And he would camp out in our backyard. He loved her so much, he would just wait for a glimpse of her. And he said this to me, because he also was the first person that let me drive. I'd sit on his lap, and I couldn't reach the pedals, but I could drive. I was 13 or 14. But at 15, he said to me, Owen, you owe it to yourself to work with the best people in the world. You owe it to yourself to do it. And I took it in, and I said, I owe it to myself to do that, and I have done that.
You've done
in my
that.
life. I have worked with the best. Now, there are some that I missed out with.
Of course.
And I have a few regrets. Truly, I do. I have a few regrets that I have forgiven myself for a long time ago, but the truth is that I saw that I was so busy that I made myself not take the advantage that I had when someone said, come work with me. I will teach. This was an osteopath in New York who retired. And his hands were like that much bigger than mine. He could take his hands like this and just go like this very gently on your body, and your whole spine would go. And he said, come, I will teach you. But it was upstate New York, and my practice was completely full, and I did not go. I bought his table from him, but I didn't buy him. And I've always been sorry about that, because he was a genius. And so I have a few people that I didn't take advantage of, but otherwise I've done okay.
You have the most amazing curriculum vitae I've ever seen.
I know, I never saw
I've ever
anything
seen
like
in
it.
my life.
I've worked
It's
for
like-
him for years.
it's
I
a
had
list
no
of-
idea until
it's-
I told you what
Look at his website. It's a who's who of famous healers. I've never seen anything like it. So you've been blessed. It's a karmic setup. You were born into the right place at the right time, among the right parents and the right atmosphere to do exactly what you've done. As you say, your destiny
Well,
line.
believe me, I've asked God many times, why did you put me into this family?
Ah,
Hell no.
You know, why?
Well, you know someone has to do it.
That's amazing.
oh, and you must have been a healer many lifetimes.
Yeah.
And so they set you up in this lifetime.
Here's a funny story.
Oh, good.
So this guy comes to Toronto, and I hear about it, and I plucked down my $125 a long time ago. And he is the carrier of the charts. His family, something like 900 years, they are the carrier of the charts of your destiny. And in India, there are both the chart carriers and the buildings. There are, I know of two. I don't know them personally, but my friend went to one of those two. And they are a whole house, and you go in the house, and it's nothing but shelves. Shelves, 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 shelves everywhere. And you go and you give them your name and your date, and they look at it and they say, okay, I think you're here. You come back in 3 days. And in 3 days, you go back and they have found your clay tablet,
Oh, my
which
God.
is written on, completely written on, and they start to read your life. And my friend said, they even told me that I married Victoria and that we divorced. He said, it just blew. So this guy comes to Toronto.
One of these Hindu masters.
Yes, and he pulls out his chart, and
His
I give him
chart
my
for you-
date and my so
okay.
forth. Okay, he pulls his chart out of this big collection of charts he has, and he says, like this, he says, oh, you're one of these. And my heart dropped. You know, I said to myself with my ego, what, I'm just one of those? Just one of those? He said it in such a way, it was like, I felt so put down. And then he reads my life.
Oh, my God.
And at
Oh
the
my
end of him
God.
reading my life, when I left there, I was totally depressed.
Depressed.
Yes, I was completely depressed. I felt, what's the use of living? I have no purpose in myself. It's all charted out. I have no way of doing this. It's not me. That's how I felt. And then I started to think about it. And I thought, okay, what was this really about? And then that was my great teaching, because I realized, oh, okay, I have been put into this situation with this body, this family, this destiny, so that I, Owen, having, before I knew a whole lot about past life, but this is where I've come to, of course, is having lived all these lives, I am giving this opportunity, because what he said was, oh, you're one of those. What he meant in this terrible way he said it to me was that I have a very clear spiritual destiny that I have no choice but to follow. And I have followed, even though I have had enormous feelings at certain times early in my life of suicide, which I knew was not me, but they were there. I knew that I was being saved and protected by devils, because I was a wild driver when I was a teenager, late teenager, and I would do really stupid things, and somehow miracles happened, like on a road in Big Sur. because I was running concerts, that's how I got to Esalen. Before Esalen was Esalen, I was running concerts there.
Giving concerts?
Giving concerts
Yes.
and organizing concerts, and I was speeding and knew the road completely like the back of my hand because I had lived there since I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm passing on a turn. There's just enough room for 2 cars, and the railing over here and a cliff over here, and I'm being an idiot passing on a turn in my little Triumph sedan, and I'm zooming around this car, and another car comes. And I don't know what happened, actually. Owen went blank, which happens when I do these things. Owen went blank, and suddenly I'm on the other side of the road.
My.
There was no accident, there was no crash.
And you just lifted you.
I don't know how it happened, but I pulled off the road.
Whoa.
My whole body was shaking. I sat there shaking for 15 minutes, and the spirit voice came, the angels came and said, "This is the last time we're doing this. You're on your own now.
So you do have freedom of choice.
You're on your own now."
But you must have freedom, even though you're one of those.
Well, of
and
course
you
I
have
have
this
freedom
destiny.
of choice.
You didn't have to do it.
I could say, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And instead, I've done a lot of stupid things, and and those were things that I had to do. And I had to do them. For whatever reason, it gave me what I needed to do, and sometimes I've even been allowed to do it. I've asked, can I do this stupid thing? And, God says no, and then somebody else says yes, and then I say, well, what should I do? If God really says no, then, and I'm going to be heavily punished if I go ahead and do this, and then you come back and say, okay, go ahead and do it. Right? So I should be stupid enough to go ahead and do it, because they see something that I don't see, and that there's something there that I might need in it for my own karma. And it's the only way they can break something for me is to allow me to do it, so that I'm allowed to do it. And even God came back and said, I'm going to allow you to do this. And it's like, I should have heard. I should have heard.
Surely,
Stupid, don't do it, but I didn't.
Surely punished is the wrong word, isn't
No,
it, Owen?
no,
Isn't
I don't
it
think.
a lesson that you had to go through?
Yeah, it's a lesson through punishment. Sorrow and suffering exist. Suffering exists.
I know suffering. I've had some
They
myself.
exist. Of course
But,
you have.
But you can request to
now.
have much easier lessons. You don't have to go through the suffering.
That is true. When you stop being an asshole and you start doing what you're told to do in the first place, when you start doing what you're told to do in the first place, and you finally get your rebellion together, and you finally listen and say, okay, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to forgive myself for being whatever. And I hope I can get it done before I die. I hope.
And if you don't, you come back and you try it again, isn't
Yeah,
that
but
right?
I'm not so sure about having to come back. So
Okay.
I'm working in the best way I can, which is sometimes very mediocre, to do what is asked of me and what I ask of myself. See, there are certain things I want. And to get those things, you have to put effort.
For sure.
And then there's life, and there's marriage,
Ha
and there's children. And then there's some idiot that starts a project on his farm, like myself,
ha.
which has gone on for 2 years, and I thought it would be 4 months. And it stopped my life, actually. It stopped me in my tracks of certain things that were happening. But now I'm, as whatever his name is, he has a song called On the Road Again.
Oh,
Ricky Nelson.
yes.
Ricky Nelson. So Ricky Nelson
Not
has become
Willie.
my
No,
star.
Willie. It's Willie, not Ricky Nelson.
Willie Nelson, thank
And
you.
it's definitely not
Willie
Nelson
Nelson.
either. I could see him in my mind's eye.
Yeah, it's Nelson, Willie Nelson. It is, Willie Nelson.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
As long as we're on the road again.
Yeah, I'm on the road again. I'm on the road again.
I'm finally on the
Yeah.
road again.
My mom died in March, and now I'm on the road again. Lots of things have died. So, now I'm on the road again. So, we're on the road again.
Okay. Thank you again.
Okay.
We'll see
Okay.
you on Friday.
Some great stories out of
This
the
is
end.
great.